Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm actually going to be taking a look at one of my old Zwift races, and I'm going to be showing you how I have improved and how I have actually lost fitness and lost skills in Zwift racing over the past 6 months. So we're going to go ahead and hop over to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to explain more about this video over there. Alright, so here we are onto my YouTube channel, and these are just looking at some of my older videos. So you can see that I was actually making a ton of videos. I was making a couple videos a day, or a couple videos a week, sorry, not a day. But I was racing around 5 times a week, and I was probably in my peak, I'd say, around 8 or 9 months ago, and that's when I was just racing a ton. So you can see here that there are tons of videos here, all just racing, and I got really competitive in Zwift racing. Once I kind of discovered the TFC Mad Monday series, that's when I really started to pay attention to my Zwift power score, and that's when I started to try to do every race that I could that would give me a gain. So that included like finding the races with the best competition, and I was actually really into those analytics, looking at calculating what the score would be if I got 5th place, 4th place, and yeah, that was pretty fun, but eventually got to the point where it just was not sustainable racing 5 times a week, and I ultimately lost joy in racing for a bit because I was just too focused on the Zwift power score and how much I could improve on the next one, and it was just a terrible habit for me because I no longer found joy, because every time that I would not meet my expectations for Zwift racing, I kind of just got frustrated with myself and would just try to race again, which is an even worse idea. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of my older races and see where I could have improved and how I've actually improved from where I'm at right now. And right now, I don't have a ton of fitness, and I'm just going to talk about the places where I have improved and places where I have not improved. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this one, which is the Zwift race analysis for the Zwift Classics, the Apple Lap. And it is going to be muted so that there is not any volume from this one, because I'm going to be talking over my old self, I guess. Alright, so just go ahead and skip the intro. So you can see that this is a really big race, 108 riders, and I'm kind of going to be doing my usual analysis format, but you can see that my channel has grown a ton since then. I used to be at around 180 subscribers, but then it kind of took off from here, and I started to gain subscribers, gain traction, and thank you all for subscribing and watching. And if you're not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel, and yeah, let's get on with it. Alright, so you can see that here this is a really big race, and this has a ton of competition, and I joined this race because I wanted Zwift power gain, and I was seeking a really good performance on this one because I knew that I could do really well, and it was kind of a slight incline finish, I believe, because this is, I'm not quite sure what route it is, but it is a route that is in New York and features that steep uphill finish. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip this part since nothing is really happening here, and the part that I really want to pay attention to is the finishing bit. So something that you'll probably notice is that I was a lot lighter back then. I was probably around 37 kilograms. I'm not quite sure, but it was somewhere around there. So my watts per kilo were a lot higher, and that actually helped me, and also didn't help me in certain places. So now, as you can probably imagine, descending and rolling climbs are actually much easier now that I am heavier. So I actually am much better on those points, but then in the points where on the climbs, I'm probably not as strong, but as I've gained weight, I've also gained some power, so my sprint in general is a lot more powerful. But something that I'm going to talk about later is how my sprint has changed from now to this race, and how it's actually, even though I've gained watts in general, I've actually lost a solid amount of watts at the end of a race. So you can see here that I'm placing myself in a pretty good position in the group, and this is when I was kind of in my peak. I had a lot of racing under my belt at this point, and I was racing multiple times a week. This was over the summer, so I had all the time I wanted to do some Zwift racing, and so that was why I could kind of join this race, which was at peak Zwift time. And nowadays you can see around 300 riders in the event, whereas this one only had 100. So now it's even more competitive, and it's a much bigger deal now with the new Z Racing series that happened monthly. Alright, so here, still nothing much happening. So let's just go ahead and go over here. Still holding a good position towards the front of the group, and this was when positioning I was really focusing on trying to stay not too far back in the group, but now I've kind of lost that sensation that like I know that I can't be in the back. Now it's kind of like I'm in the back, there's not much I'm going to do about it, and I'm just going to try to make the most out of the finish. I haven't been paying too much attention to positioning recently, but you can see here that I am on top of positioning and I know exactly where I want to be in the group. So I've kind of lost some of that over time, but I still do know a lot about Zwift racing, and I actually I probably know more about Zwift racing than most riders, but I don't necessarily use that now because I just don't have the drive to get every single last Zwift PowerPoint like I did over the summer. Alright, so right here, we're about to hit a steep descent, and you can see that I'm very prepared. I actually start my surging, and I turn on my power up knowing that there's around 30 seconds left. But here is when I kind of get stuck behind people, and that's something that I didn't really like about being a lighter rider. So you can see that going on a descent, you can see that I did start out in the back because we were going down a descent, so I was at a pretty big disadvantage. And nowadays, I don't think I can hit this kind of power in a finishing sprint, even if it is up a slight incline, and that's sort of because I am not too used to Zwift racing, and I don't race as often as I used to race, so it's not like I'm racing multiple times a week. It's more of like a one time a week kind of thing, just hop in and have some fun. So I probably can't hit that kind of power like you saw in the video that I released probably last week, I think. And in that video, you can see that I simply did not have the same amount of power. I was hitting around 400 to 440 max. This one I was hitting around 460, 470, and that's kind of where I stayed around these finishes in these bigger races. Alright, so another thing to note that I was talking about earlier is this small descent. I'm going to go back here, and you're going to see that as we're rolling through these bits, nowadays this would be a lot easier because I am probably around at least 5 kilograms heavier. So that actually helps a lot on these slight descents because it can help me get better positioning without having to necessarily start my sprint really early, which is kind of what I had to do here. So that is one advantage to being a heavier rider, and I actually really enjoy that because I used to hate always being stuck on the descent and not being able to move up in the group, and that still sort of happens, just not as much as when I used to weigh around 35 kilograms. Alright, so there you have it. That was kind of just a look at where I've improved and where I've actually lost fitness. So the main thing is that I lost a lot of fitness in terms of the finishing sprint, and I've also lost some tactics over time since I haven't been racing 5 times a week. I'm more racing 1 time a week. So as you can probably imagine, I'm losing some strategy from that. Like I still know about the strategy, I just don't necessarily apply it when I am racing. And then something that I did improve on is descending, and just naturally having a better position in the group rather than having to force it using a small sprint. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and see you all next time. Ride on.